Line it up. Alright, good morning everybody on Instagram. We are going to be getting started shortly. We have a few more minutes until we're going to start. I'm finishing plating my food right now actually. So give us a few minutes and we will start with Miss Karina Thorne in a little bit. I'm actually going to make sure that I can see things everywhere. I should be able to. And we're gonna get started. I'm excited. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited. Alright, I'll be right back. I gotta go finish plating. The English eat a lot of meat at breakfast. Go, my beans. Alright, so my English breakfast is finished. Let's see if I can show it. Can you see it? Pow! It's not exactly the same as what the English do. I'm missing toast and I'm missing baked beans with ketchup. But I did make black beans. Let's see if I can show the lovely folks on the Facebook feed my English breakfast plate. So I have my sausage, I think you can see that, my bacon, and all those other things on here. Gonna go ahead and throw this over here. Got my makeup scarf over here as well. And I didn't have baked beans, but I made some black beans. Care of a recipe from my really good friend, Miss Margarita Santana. So I have my black beans. I don't have the others, but yeah, we're suited and booted over here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and begin. I see Miss Karina Thorne is joining us. If you're ready, I'll bring you in. Are you good? Okay. All right. Good afternoon. How's it going? It is 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Time. I'm in Illinois. And I got up this morning to make my English breakfast with a twist. I didn't have baked beans, so I did black beans. I did what I could. This is the plate right here. And I have mushrooms, but they're stuffed. They're stuffed, so they're not that healthy, but yeah. So this is the plate. I got all of my meats. I'm not the biggest meat eaters, but I was like, oh man, sausage and bacon? It's like a cheat day. So it's here. Nice. Okay, now who's the healthy one? Oh man. So we definitely have a interesting point of time of life that we're living in. I am trying to bring you into the Instagram feed. I'm not sure it's gonna work, so let me see. Let's see. Are you? There we go. Yeah. Your request on Instagram to be live. I look like a shadow on the Instagram. That's my fault. Oh, look at you. Hey, friend.
Okay, that's a nappy behind me. You don't want that. Let's get rid of it. Oh, I thought through the one
I did too,
screen.
but they humbled me. They said, sorry, we don't work with Instagram over here. So I have to do both of them.
Are you hearing any feedback? Because
I am.
Because I don't know what to do to avoid that. I've turned down the volume on my phone.
And I turned it down here, but it's still close by. Maybe if I move it up. Does that sound a little bit better?
I mean, it's okay for me. I'm just thinking for other people who are watching or listening later, whether that's going to be very loud.
That's very aggravating.
Yeah. Hadn't thought about that.
Sorry guys, everybody didn't take this into consideration. I need to find a new streaming app. So if you know someone that streams Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the same time, let me know. Instagram, in the meantime, please join StreamYard to make the creative lives easy.
So are you streaming to Facebook? Because I thought this was...
Yes, this is streaming to Facebook and Instagram on StreamYard. But I didn't realize that Instagram, even though it's a part of Facebook, would not allow the same.
Yeah, I thought it was the same.
Apologies, but I'm here. We're here. However good, we're here. Seeing Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So first, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and afternoon to join me and talk for a little bit.
Of course. No worries.
Of course, Corona times. It's a lovely time that we're living in. What's that like across the pond?
Yeah, we are just at the end of our second lockdown. We had our first lockdown at the beginning of March. And I mean, I've been following the story for a while, obviously with friends in China. So I was kind of really up to date with everything that was going on there. thinking it was going to be inevitable that we would be following suit. But checking our media, it was like, oh, it's something completely new. And I didn't know it was coming. So yeah, we had 2 months lockdown, March. It was at the end of March, so basically April and May. It was pretty intense because I'm a solo mum to a young baby. So childcare was not available at that time. And so it was, it was just me, the baby, and nowhere to go. I don't even think you could go to the parks. Like they had, shut, taped up, all the equipment. You could go to the parks, sorry. You could go to the parks, but you couldn't use the play equipment and stuff. Yeah. And you couldn't meet anyone. And the only place you can go would be the supermarket. So it was really hard, really intense during that time. So happy when that period was over and childcare, actually kind of came back. I think it was in July. Yeah. Okay. So, and then things have been a bit up and down since then. Then we kind of went, I think what happened was schools went back and university students went back or started. And we don't know why, but there was a spike in infections. I can't think what that was that created that spike. Right. So that was a shock to us. And then we were like, okay, quick, let's go back into lockdown. And so we've had this, we had this second lockdown, which is just over. I think everybody is kind of well experienced now. And the restrictions aren't as bad as before. I think certain things are open. And we've been working towards this vaccine, which has been, I think a number of vaccines have been approved, at least 1 or 2, and at least 1 is already here. And I think somebody's already had their first jab. So it's really evolving very, very quickly over, it's evolving really quickly over here. So it's been very strange. It's been very intense. Although at the same time, because I work for myself and I work from home, I'm kind of used to being like home a lot, but maybe obviously not as much as this. How's it been for you over there?
It's been interesting to say the least. So when it started, I was actually studying abroad in Morocco, and it was Lunar New Year in China, right? So I lived in China, and so we had this long break. So when things started, I wasn't in China, I wasn't in the mainland. I took a trip with some friends and explored the continent. So went to Ghana, went to Togo, and then we separated, and I continued on to Morocco to study abroad. So like I was hearing things on WeChat, but I wasn't seeing it in the news, right, in the media. So I wasn't really sure what was going on. And then when I got back, it was kind of quiet. But if you've been to China before, if you've been like Beijing, specifically Beijing, it's never that quiet. Even during Lunar New Year, there's like fireworks going on. Like it's a celebration, and it was not that. And then once I saw, what was going on, I talked to my family. I decided to come home, but I was only coming home for 2 weeks because I was coming to the UK for a conference. And I was so excited to see you in person. And then the conference was canceled, and my flights going back were canceled. And so I packed for 2 weeks, and now 6 months later, I'm still in the US. We have, I don't know, it's a very interesting time to see the way that people respond to being asked to do things maybe outside of their comfort zone, or just, like you said, like, okay, I'm used to being home, I like being home, but when somebody tells you that you have to stay home, all of a sudden you don't want to be at home, right? So we have all these people here that, I think in general, human nature, they're being told to do things and they don't want to do it. Which is kind of just continuing the process of gotta stay home longer. You have to wear like this longer. You can't do this longer.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you're like, just listen, just see what it can be and go from there. But people are not not with it at all. And so they tell us we're open, but then like randomly we get notices that things are getting closed down again. So I think, like you guys, we're in this like really strange middle ground where we're not sure if we just don't know what's next. Nobody does. And vaccines are also popping up. They're doing trial runs over to people to get the voluntary plug. I'm not accepting that challenge. No, thank you. Maybe like around 35, all the potential side effects. It'll be a thing. Until then, I just stay home and wear my mask.
The thing is, you're probably in the lowest group in terms of priority to get it. Do you know what I mean? It's probably older people, people with underlying conditions. So you probably don't need to make that decision just yet. But I think the whole experience has been like an education in human behavior and different how it's interesting to look at how people respond coming from different cultural backgrounds and different cultural systems, because obviously we both have experience in China and the quote unquote West, whether it's the US and UK. And in China they say, okay guys, kill a virus, we've got to stay home. Everyone's like, okay. And then
everybody listens.
Everyone's like, okay, sure. And then,
they were worried about the consequences. Meanwhile, over here,
US, UK, we're like, okay, kill a virus, everyone, better stay home. No.
How dare you?
I have my rights.
How
I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm not like condemning either, or do you know what I mean? But it's just interesting to look at these extreme kind of positions and these extreme attitudes that have come forward. I agree. Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting if someone did a case study to see the way that emotions and feelings kind of evolve during this time, especially about other people, like concerning this. See if there was anyone who went from like, how dare you to, okay, this makes sense, how this could, grow or impact people. I don't know. I think it's interesting, like you said, just to kind of sit back and watch the whole gambit.
Yeah. And I mean, and just juxtapose that on top, like kind of put that on top of social media and the way that we share information, that anyone can share information, that real experts are like being usurped by just famous people in terms of sharing information. And so I think it's ripe when this is over and people are studying it. It's going to be really fascinating to to think about that.
I'm interested to see the reports that come from this whole thing. And before we talk about more nerd things like studying abroad and the flights of it, you said you work from home. What is that like? Tell me a little bit about the organization, what you do, how you do it.
Well, Share Your Story is a project. Share Your Story with Confidence is a project, a new project. Well, started quite a while ago. A community. It's an idea. It's a feeling. It's a dream. It's what I hope for. To share my story with confidence and to encourage other people to do the same. And we focus on reading, writing, and positive thinking. These are kind of like the key ingredients to help you express yourself and articulate yourself in the best way. And that can be done in kind of spoken form or in written form. At the moment, I'm trying to develop activities that revolve around writing primarily.
Okay.
So it was inspired, if I kind of go back to my master's, a module on my master's, technology enhanced creative writing. It was we were looking at not only how to teach creative writing to our learners, but also to become writers ourselves, or to begin that process of learning about writing. And I found that very, very cool, very, very liberating, and I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more of it. And I was able to use my dissertation project, my dissertation, as a chance to develop some ideas around teaching creative writing, which was very, very nice. A couple of months ago we did that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
peek in on a couple of once my academic semester is over this semester.
I know that you're very, very busy.
No. Just class load is a little heavy, but yeah, I did see one of your events and I was really excited to go, but everybody votes on Monday.
No problem.
Mondays are my busiest days, so I definitely missed out. I was sad. I felt very sad, but
that's okay. We're just working towards activities that are going to kind of inspire and encourage people to, you know, first of all, draft their thoughts, write down their thoughts, and then to create something like a story or something like that. And on the website, I just started to collect stories, drafts and stories that that people write.
okay.
And yeah, the idea is hopefully we can turn that into something in the future. I'm an English language teacher, so my audience is primarily language teachers, and I think it would be really nice if we have like a collection of stories, lesser heard stories, and yeah, maybe we can do something with them. I don't know, make a little book, something like that.
I'll contribute. I'm going to write something. However you decide to use it.
That sounds very cool.
Be
Please.
creative. Share my story with confidence.
Yes. Yes.
I think that'd be pretty cool. All right. So speaking of stories to share,
yes.
You did a year abroad study abroad experience and friends.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? What'd you do? Where'd you go? Why?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I did a business degree for my undergrad, and at the time, which was a long time ago,
Stop it.
which is
Stop
about 20 years ago, at the time, you were able to take languages with almost any kind of subject that you studied.
Okay.
And I was always a fan of languages and always interested in them. So I did I chose business studies, but I elected, to study a language as well, French.
Okay.
And another kind of key element or cool thing about my degree is that it was a sandwich degree. I'm still young, thank you, young Afro.
She is. Thank you. That was a long time ago. Don't fall for the hype.
20 years ago? Come on, that's a long time. So yeah,
I'm sorry it's so dark over here. I'm gonna try and move this light.
Me too. No, it's the sun is setting already here in London. So yeah, I did something called a sandwich degree, and I don't know if it exists still, if it's called the same thing, but our degrees are typically 3 years, and so a sandwich degree includes an extra work element, and that added a year to your degree basically. So I did a 4-year degree with 1 year abroad. And it was just by chance, because people who did the same degree as me, business studies, they like almost all of them were working in the UK. And it was just, it just so happened because I had elected to study French, that the French department had some connections with work placements actually in France. Yeah, so that's how it happened. I was lucky enough to work in Paris for like a trading, let's say stock trading company based on the Champs-Élysées, which is a very, very famous street road in the middle of Paris. Yeah, I mean, it's very famous. It has like a lot of shops for shopping and stuff like that, and for tourism. What else can I say? Yeah, and I was working in the back office, so confirming trades. Basically, kind of admin. Let's say admin assistant is like the simplest way of putting it. But the best thing about it was that I was working in French. I was using my French language skills. I didn't know this when I arrived, but I wasn't able to speak French before before I
understand completely. That's how I feel with Chinese. You study it in the book and they're like, ni hao, and you go there and you're like, ni hao, and you're like, sure, no, oh, that's not correct? Okay, sorry. Completely understand.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I learned French at school. I learned it for many years. You kind of have in mind that you know a lot at school, or even, even at a language school, you're going to practice all 4 skills, right? But, and that includes speaking. But it's not the same when you are there. Responding to a question in your language class is not the same as when you're really there responding to someone, speaking to you. And that was really intimidating, and it was shocking, and I didn't know that I didn't know. I didn't know that I wasn't able to communicate, and I couldn't understand. Right. But the thing that kind of kept me going through it, or kept me going, was the fact that I had learned something before, that I had this knowledge in my mind, but I just hadn't heard it. I hadn't heard it spoken by, let's say, native speakers of French at speed. So it took a while. Speed is the key word here. Yeah, it took a while to connect and to understand. Like, it took months. And the way that I tell the story is that first I just heard, blah, 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 blah. And then I heard blah, 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 oui, blah, 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 no. Right? And then I could hear, eventually I could hear every single word that was spoken. But it just took over time. It took time for me to kind of tune in and set my mind to French. I don't know if that is do you have a similar experience, or do you?
When I got to China, I went in 2008, and there was a visiting scholar who I had befriended, and she was very nice. And she's like, "Hey, why don't you, if you're gonna come to China, come early and stay with my family and kind of get your feet wet, learn your way around." And I am very, I feel it's very important to know your way around a place. Like, I don't want to be lost. I much rather explore, things like that. So I went to stay with her, and it was my first time in a homogeneous place, right? And so when I went, I think this.
volume down. I don't know
Oh, I hear you.
if
Let me
that's
see over
enough.
here. Sorry. I'll have to figure this out better for the next time. Thank you for telling me, Dee. I'll have to figure it out better for next time. Is that a little bit better? I hope so. Um, so when I went to China, I was in a homogeneous area, and that was just mind blowing to me. And I think it was mind blowing to them to see me because obviously, hello, one of these things does not look like the other. And I was so, I don't want to say terrified, but I was so intrigued yet nervous. Like people made me nervous because like they would like look at me, they they would try to like touch me or like touch my hair, or sometimes they would just stop and stare. And I remember one time I was walking down the street in this very, very urban neighborhood, and I looked back because I felt like someone was watching me. You know, something I always feel like it was like that. So I was like, somebody's watching me. So I kind of like turned, and the whole block had stopped and was like had watched me walk past and was just kind of looking like, who is this? Where'd you come from? Even like the fruit stall, they had like a donkey. The donkey was looking at me like, what is happening? And it actually overwhelmed me to the point that I was like, maybe I shouldn't be here. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this. And then I thought like maybe I should try to talk to people. And they all hit me with the like, what did you say? And I was like, I thought I said hello. And I realized that, you know, Chinese, especially Mandarin, Cantonese is a whole nother beautiful beast that I just enjoy so much. But like Mandarin, they have different accents, just like in the US, right? So you can have like a Southern accent or an East Coast New Yorker accent. And Beijing is like the New Yorker accent of Mandarin, right? So for me to be sitting here speaking this book Mandarin with no hard R, Beijing adds like this R to everything. I didn't know anything. And so yeah, I don't even think I was sitting there like yeses and nos for a while because it just sounded like you said, at speed. It's nothing like what you learn in the book or experience in the classroom. But I think it helped that I was friends with the visiting scholar and I would spend time with her in her house before I ever even went to China. So I could kind of pick up some words, but she still spoke slowly. But yeah, that's 6 months turned into 11 years. I just came back in February.
Wow.
Thunk it.
Indeed. I mean, I made it 6 years in China, but wow, 11 is.
And that's where we met. Some of the best years, man.
Absolutely.
Some of the best experiences. I met some of the coolest people. Yeah, it was everything.
Yeah, I think you touched on a couple of interesting points. First of all, having like some support when you go abroad. You're saying that you have this contact, and I'm trying to remember. I remember now that I was put in touch with a Chinese teacher here in the UK who recommended a school that had a branch in London, a language school that had a branch in London and a branch in Beijing.
Okay.
So I had a connection there in terms of work. But other than that, I don't think I had any other connections in terms of like friends or anybody who knew the city. I went to, I'm talking about
Talking about China?
I'm talking about China. Let me go back to France.
Wait, I'm actually going to ask a question that connects to the subject that you're talking about. How did your family react, or like what was their support to you saying like, "Hey, I'm going to France for a year"?
I'm going to France. Okay, so this is a different time. This is like typical university age, like 18, 19. I think everybody was completely fine with it. France is, a stone's throw from the UK. We're very, very close. The Eurostar had been was up and running, which is a train that runs under the water between France and England. And
Okay.
yeah, we have a high speed train called the Eurostar. And at the time, I think the journey 3.5, 4 hours, something like that. Can take you from, the heart of London to the heart of Paris. So it was like quite well connected. It was very close. So even though I'm sure most of my family, don't know anything about France, I don't think that they saw it as a difficult place to be, an intimidating place to be, or a different place to be. And yet, it is very different. We're in the middle of Brexit, but if we think think of ourselves as Europe, you might think that all of the countries in there are quite similar, but actually we're quite different. Not to mention that we have different languages, different cultures. So France is a whole. It's a whole new mindset. It's a whole new lifestyle. You start to think in different ways. You do different things. You act in different ways. But going back to family and friends, I don't think it was a huge shock or difficulty for them with me being away because I think it was so geographically close. What about you when you've been abroad?
My family was like, "You want to go where? You want to do
Yeah.
what?" I
Mm,
mean, I think that's cool, but what? What? Huh? What? And so I think a lot of people were just surprised.
mm,
And that could have been just because of the where,
yeah.
not necessarily the what.
Mm,
Um, because my family is pretty it's pretty diverse, and we're in a lot of different places.
mm,
Uh, but it doesn't necessarily mean like we've all been to wherever we all are.
yeah.
But I think that they were definitely they were supportive. I think
Mm,
they were like, okay, you want to go for a semester, and then when I graduated, I went back for six
right.
months. This is
Yeah.
when we met. So I said, I'm just
Right.
gonna go for 6 months. There's no jobs in America right now. We're in a
Mm,
recession. Life is horrible.
yeah.
I mean, I had fun in trying. I was learning
Yeah.
this new language. Let me go see what I can do. And life just kind of grew and evolved and changed so
Mm,
much while I was there.
yeah.
I think it forced me to learn a lot of things about myself, in terms of things that I will accept and I won't accept,
Mm,
both of myself and of other people, right? And so I was studying at a school and I had a roommate who was just not a fan of me. Um, and it was racially motivated. And so we lived in a foreign students dorm, so we didn't live with the local students at the university. And it was kind of to the point where I was like, I think I'm just gonna go home. Like I don't have to put up with this. But at the same time, my pride was like, but we came here to learn a language. Like this makes you happy. Like languages make you happy. How can you make this work for you? So I got my place off campus, started working, um, and I think I've learned that I learn languages better, not necessarily with the book, but by kind of going through it on my own and then finding ways to practice or things like that. So yeah, it was a good time. I learned a lot. I learned a lot.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was profound, my experience, even just jumping across the water to France and just seeing that there are different takes on the world, there are different perspectives, and I found that really useful as somebody who's interested in learning other languages, who is interested in travel. Um, that my perspective is not the only one. My perspective is not right, quote unquote, and yeah, I think it just made me more open-minded, more understanding, you know, of different peoples and their ideas. So yeah. Thinking about support though, just quickly going back to support when I was in France. Yeah, I think my university, my French teacher basically was my support there. I think she came once or possibly twice to visit me. And then, yeah, I had my boss at my workplace kind of keep an eye on me, and I actually made a couple of friends in the office. But otherwise, I was very, very alone, and that was quite difficult, even though I'm somebody who spends a lot of time by themselves, and I'm completely cool with that. But when you're dropped into a different environment, it's a bit more challenging, and you need to fall back on things that you recognize, things that are familiar, you know, things that you know when you are caught up in something that's in behaviors that are kind of different to what you're used to. It's good to have a little taste and a reminder of what you know, you of home. Yeah, of home. I was going to say, yeah, of the English favorites. You know, I don't know, breakfast or whatever.
Yeah, my English favorites are getting
It's getting cold. You need to have some. Yum. Yum, 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 yum. I was going to ask, yeah, you know, that experience, that was 20 years ago, and I don't know, I know for sure that I believe language learning has really gone down since that time. You know, I'm talking about a time that you can go to university and you can just add on a language, you know, whenever. I don't think that even exists anymore, and I think it's like even more difficult to study languages, I guess, within the school system. I just wondered what it's like over there in the States. Like, is it a popular thing? Is it an add-on? Who studies languages? And
It depends on your programming. So some, of course, you can. It's mandatory. You know, it's part of your program.
yeah.
Otherwise, you can add classes, but I think. I think when you're in school, you're trying to focus on this is a financial investment, right? And it's not cheap. So how can I hit the requirements and the things that are asked of me without extending, basically? And so that could be like overextending yourself in terms of the classes and the schedule, but also like extending your program year. So you can add it, but I think it kind of all depends on, do you have the time, right? Do you have the time to do that? So I've added a language now that I'm back in the States. So I'm actually taking French now. And
Fantastic.
thank you. And so I really enjoy it. It's something I wanted to learn for a long time, but I just once things kind of switched and I was in China and in that context, that's where my focus went. But I'm hoping to, do a couple cool things, and it would be to manage to have French, in my back pocket. So yeah, and then hopefully once I get comfortable enough with that, I'm more Arabic. But I'm gonna give myself 2 years before.
Well, I'm really jealous. I love, and I've always enjoyed learning languages, but I have very little time to do that. I do, and I will get back to it again with my baby daughter. Hopefully, she's going to be a language nerd, and I'll have a great reason to learn languages again. But yeah, for sure, it's the same here. It's kind of like an extra, an addition. It's not mainstream. You have to make an extra effort if you want to learn languages. Well, I guess that was more true in the past. obviously with the internet now, there is more access to different resources. So it depends how motivated you are, as to how far you can get learning online. No, but you can do a lot online. It depends on what type of learner you are. It might there's a lot of great resources out there. You can connect with great teachers and so on. So
Okay. We have a few more minutes, so I'm going to ask if anybody who's watching has any questions that they would like to throw out. I did get a couple questions from people who could not attend today, so I'm going to start with those. So the first one was, how did you get around when you were in Paris? Did you use public transport? Were you using taxis? Was it convenient?
I was living right in the centre of Paris, so and I ended up getting an apartment very close to where I worked, so I could actually walk to work. I actually was able to walk to work. That said, I did get, I think it was called a carte orange card at the time. Don't know if it's still called that, which is like a travel card basically. And the metro stations are very well organized. They cover the whole city. I remember it being very cheap to travel on the metro. And so I mostly traveled by metro, occasionally caught the bus, very rarely caught the bus, and then walked a lot. I rarely caught taxi. I remember having one of those classic taxi moments, which I even had in Beijing. You have it wherever you go as a foreigner, where some driver wants to charge you a ridiculous amount of money because they think that
they can tell you're not local.
They know that you're not local. So I've had one of those. So for the most part, I avoid taxis. But I found it very easy to travel around. The metro is quite easy to navigate, and it pretty much goes everywhere.
Okay. And the other question was, what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about traveling or studying abroad, actually in France, because that's where she wants to go? What advice would you give them?
Do it. Numero uno. Of course, preparation is key. It depends on how much time you have. First of all, where you want to go, where you'd like to be in the country. I was in the capital, very, very big, busy, bustling city. I think that sometimes people might worry about going to a big city and finding people of your own native language there, and then maybe not having as many opportunities. I didn't really have that problem when I was in Paris. I guess it depends where you are. But for sure, explore the smaller cities and even towns. Don't disregard them. I think that they could be just as welcoming and great for your language practice. So research where you want to go, and I think that as much preparation as you can do with the language would be great. Of course, you can go as a complete beginner. You can go for sure. But I think it would be more difficult than if you knew some basic, the basic language and basic words. So as much language prep as you can do before you go, I think that would be really great. And then finally, I guess it all ties into the program that what you're studying and how things are set up there. Because I did mine through my university. I know that it's possible to do immersion programs, obviously outside of the university as well. So kind of explore those avenues and if you can find somebody who has been there, who is living there now, or who has been there, definitely connect with them and get their advice. Those are probably the top 3 tips.
Those are great tips. I think those are great tips. Speaking of connecting with someone who's been there, Hey Butterfly has kaleidoscope, and that's exactly what we do. We try to pair you with someone who has been to the place that you wish to study abroad or intern abroad. So definitely reach out, connect if you're interested, and we'll try to reach out and connect you with someone who can offer some assistance.
That sounds very good. I mean, I think that, that experience gave me so much. It was kind of pivotal in my life and my career, to open me up to a whole new way of learning a language, which is to be there, to be completely immersed in it, and to not only learn a new language, but a new culture. And it just so happens that I was working as well. So I came away with work experience. And I think that those skills are, fantastic going forward, whether it's further studies or whether it's in a profession, in a career. These are transferable skills, surviving abroad, surviving in a new place, expressing yourself in new and different ways. Do you know what I mean? So there's just so much that you can take and that you can gain. Not to mention like the friends and the contacts that you'll make while you're there. So I definitely want to encourage people to consider going abroad, studying abroad, working abroad even. I think it it could change your life for sure. It can change your life.
Sweet. Well, it has been a pleasure. I know it is getting late over on your side of the pond. The sun's shining a bit brighter right here, so the day is about to be underway.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time. It's very much appreciated. Hopefully, in the future, I will find a platform that will let me stream just using one.
Yeah, I thought that's what we were doing, but no.
I did too. I didn't realize because Facebook is integrated with Instagram, and they said, "Hey, you can use Facebook." I was like, "Oh, so I can also use Instagram?" No. So StreamYard, if you want some feedback, add Instagram.
Maybe it does do that, and you don't know it. I don't know.
Oh, thank you, Lily. Appreciate you joining us this morning, evening, or afternoon, depending on your location right now.
Yeah, we have a couple of late arrivals. Hello to you.
Yeah, I see a couple folks on the Instagram. Hello. It's been really cool. I've seen a lot of people kind of like filtering in and out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with the location diversity as well. So.
Perfect.
Well.
Thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to talk about France, my time, learning French, speaking French, and working in France. And yeah, I hope it kind of serves as, some sort of inspiration for people.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you talked about so many dope things. I think even if it's not like someone saying, I want to go to France, it could be finding ways to implement, their passions and their goals and things that they study and make it a business. I mean,
Right.
It's super cool things. Because that's what you do. As long as I've known you.
I try my best.
It's been a couple years.
Yes.
All right. Well, again, I so appreciate you spending this afternoon with us. I'm gonna let you go ahead and kick back in the other modes of life.
Thank you.
And I guess I'm gonna go ahead and continue nerding out for today. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in today, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Hopefully one day I'll be able to just say everything here.
Yeah.
But until then, Instagram. I've got you guys covered. So thank you again, Miss Thor. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you again, everybody who tuned in, and we will see you the next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye.